Hey everyone, Adil here, and welcome to the September edition of the Surroundup. For most, it's that time of year to reset and get back to routine. Summer's fading, the kids are back to school, and parents can breathe a sigh of relief. My little guys aren't school age yet, so for me, not much changes. This is my life now. Weekends full of walks, parks, soccer, swimming, crying, rinse and repeat. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change a thing. Zane may not be heading off to daycare yet, but he's already hard at work banging out some emails. As hoodie weather is upon us and pumpkin spice is in the air, now seems like a good time to reflect on the markets in 2023 and to explore what might be in store for the remainder of the year. If I had to give this year a theme, it would be better than expected. Keep in mind that we came into this year in what felt like the belly of the bear market with no end in sight. To say sentiment was negative would be an understatement. But to quote the August 2022 Surroundup, it's not about good or bad, it's about better or worse. Eventually, the maximum amount of bad news and pessimism is priced into the market, and therefore, less bad news can move markets higher. That's how it works. Everyone felt like the world was going to end coming into 2023, and that view was priced into the market. And when things didn't, when things were better than expected, markets went up. Simple as that. For those who want more detail, here are my 6 takeaways from the first 9 months of the year. Number 1, markets are impossible to predict. Coming into 2023, everyone said a recession was imminent. Everyone said the first half of the year would be ugly. Everyone said tech stocks were dead. Everyone said earnings would get crushed. And everyone said the unemployment rate would jump. I'm not trying to dunk on any of those people who got it wrong. It's just that predicting markets in the short term is hard, even for the best and brightest. Number 2, don't underestimate the people's ability to spend. The US consumer makes up about 70% of GDP, so there's no growth without the consumer. Almost every month over the past 2 years, measures of personal consumption like retail sales have climbed to new record highs. In other words, people keep spending. Number 3, the labor market remains tight. In the US, 1.9 million jobs have been added in 2023. There are still 1.5 job openings per unemployed person, and the unemployment rate is hovering around 53-year lows. So why are people still spending? Because they have a job. And why do they still have a job? This leads me to number 4. Company earnings were better than expected. It's quite simple. Everyone expected earnings to plummet, and they didn't. They were better than expected. Why were company earnings better than expected? For one, most large publicly traded companies locked in low rates during the pandemic. And 2, companies continued to preserve their profit margins. Number 5, mortgage rates are locked in. One of the burning questions this year, why hasn't the rise in rates crushed the consumer? Well, because 70% of mortgages in the US carry an interest rate below 4%, and they are fixed for 30 years. Another reason why the consumer has held up. And finally, the Magnificent 7 put the team on its back. The last I checked, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta made up about a third of the S&P 500 index and have contributed to almost 65% of year-to-date returns. This is largely due to the AI boom, but it also has to do with the fact that these companies got killed in 2022. So where do we go from here? Look, it's anyone's guess. There's a narrative out there for everyone. Are things slowing? Yes. Wasn't the objective of higher rates to slow things down? Yes. Does this mean we're heading into a recession, or are we going to get that soft landing? Who knows? The path to both look the same. But remember, it doesn't matter what happens. It matters what's priced in. It matters what the market expects. What I will say is that given the strong year so far, I think there is a lot of good news priced into the market. Combine that with the fact that the fall tends to be volatile means that we should expect a bumpier ride. Remember, the stuff everyone is worried about typically isn't what brings down the market. It's usually the risk you don't see coming. So what can we do? Your job remains the same. Stay diversified, have a plan, and remember what you control. To quote one of my favorite financial writers, Josh Brown of Ritholtz Wealth Management, today's market will pivot, and so too will tomorrow's. there's nothing you can do about it other than be prepared financially and mentally. Volatility is timeless, and wild swings in sentiment are the rule, not the exception. That's it for this edition of the Surroundup. Remember, there's more than one way to wealth.